Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone. Thank you for joining us. Well, a tragedy unfolds in Columbia Mall over the weekend, and family and friends of the victims and the suspect are left searching for answers. And joining me now is Rochelle Metzger, who spent all morning there at the mall.
That's right, Patty. We talked to employees, we talked to shoppers, and we got an update on the investigation. Howard County police are still trying to figure out why the gunman, 19-year-old Darian Aguilar of College Park, killed 2 mall employees and then took his own life. Before reopening the mall, officials took media on a tour. Food containers and litter strewn about show how fast workers were ushered out of harm's way. A sign posted outside the shuttered Zumiez clothing store reads, "Closed until further notice." Authorities say surveillance video shows Aguilar entering the mall upstairs near the carousel just after 10 a.m. After lingering in the food court for about an hour, he went up the escalator and walked into the store with a shotgun and opened fire, killing Brianna Ben-Lolo and Tyler Johnson. Memorials for the victims are set up both inside and outside the mall, where the community can place flowers and write notes to the victims' families.
The damage to the mall was primarily at the storefront entrances, where our police partners needed to gain access to every space in the mall to ensure it was safe. Repairing the physical nature of the mall is complete, and we are now here to repair the hearts of our retailers and our community.
Before reopening this afternoon, retailers returned to the scene. Lisa Masler is a crisis counselor hired by Lord & Taylor to help employees like Marta Dixon cope.
I never was so scared for my life, never, because you don't know what is next, if they're going to come to us or what. Everybody's running and you don't know if it's good people or what, and it was really, really scary. And I feel like until the point right now, I'm just scared to see everybody.
It's about helping them with coping skills and developing a good social support system, helping them process any traumatic events that may have happened, and also planning for long-term consequences that sometimes happen.
Now, 5 people were injured Saturday and treated at an area hospital and released. As the investigation continues, police say the teen gunman had no criminal record and no known mental health issues. And speaking of mental health issues, what the crisis counselor Lisa Masler told us is PTSD is the main issue that they look for, and that can surface just after an event or weeks, months later.
So this could carry on for quite a while, then.
Right, which is why she wants to make sure that employees have the resources they need to get help.
All right. Well, thank you, Rochelle. Meanwhile, the mall is now reopened after Saturday's tragic murder-suicide. Outside one of the mall's entrances is a memorial with a banner and candles where the community can lay flowers to honor the victims. Shoppers can expect increased security both in and around the mall. Howard County Executive Ken Allman, Congressman Elijah Cummings, and other officials held a moment of silence today just before the doors opened to the public. Both Allman and customers say it's important for things to return to normal.
In the aftermath of a terrible, tragic incident, this community showed its true character, its strength, its resiliency, and we wanted to be here to show our respects to the victims, but also to let the community know that the mall is open, and we're going to go back about our lives.
I mean, it can happen anywhere, so it doesn't surprise me, but you know, thankfully, you know, not that many people were injured, but you know, it's a shame. I feel, you know, my heart goes out to the parents, you know, the victims.
And I think that while we're never going to forget what's happened here today, I think that we will get back to normal and or as close to normal as possible, as quickly as possible.
Both Cummings and Allman thanked the community for the outpouring of support for both the victims and the mall. They also thanked police for their quick response and diligent investigation. And as Columbia Mall tries to regain a sense of normalcy, so too does the neighborhood where the shooter and one of his victims lived. Byron Scott has our report about the community still in shock.
It's kind of bizarre. It really is.
David Keir lives across the street from the Hollywood Road home where 19-year-old Darian Aguilar lived with his mother. Keir says they were quiet people who kept to themselves, although he never met them.
Everything I'm reading in the newspaper, it almost sounds like he was really depressed more than anything, from at least the snippets from his journal that were in the paper.
We spoke with several neighbors, none of whom knew the young man or his mother. All, of course, were shocked.
Yes, I was shocked. It was You know, it was unbelievable because nothing ever happened around this area like that.
One of his victims, 21-year-old Brianna Benolo, the mother of a 2-year-old son, lived a few blocks away at this house on Delaware Street. A person seen driving away from the house declined comment. Many people we spoke with say they heard about the incident earlier on the radio, but they weren't aware that it involved someone in their neighborhood until they tried to get home.
That same night, they blocked off the whole street. Police. Yeah. You know, I didn't know what was going on until the next morning.
This is the Dunkin' Donuts where Aguilar was supposed to report to work on Saturday morning. His co-workers declined to comment. Like many others, they too are trying to figure out why it happened. Kier's thoughts are with the victims and the shooter's mother.
It's got to be hard for her. I mean, gosh, it's not just what he did, but he's her son, you know, and the other 2 kids that got killed. And I think I feel most for the 2-year-old.
In College Park, Byron Scott, CTV News.
And who would have known that a missing person would turn into an alleged murderer, killing 2 people at the Columbia Mall before turning the gun on himself? At around 1 in the afternoon, Prince George's police received a phone call about a missing person, but by the time they found Darian Aguilar, they were 2 hours too late.
Our patrol officers responded to the scene to take the report from the missing person's mother. After a brief conversation with the mother, we sent in our regional investigation division to further have a conversation with the mom. As the investigator arrives, he talks with the mother, learns a little bit more about the missing person, and the investigator looks over a journal. In that journal, the writings give the investigator cause for concern. The journal made him concerned about the missing person's safety. At that point, the investigator begins to track the missing person's phone. The phone is pinging in the Columbia area. The investigator heads north on 95 and very soon realizes that the phone is pinging at the Columbia Mall. As he arrives at the mall, it's naturally an active crime scene. Our investigator coordinates with the Howard County Police Department, passes off the information that he has. Shortly thereafter, it's soon learned that our missing person and the gunman were one and the same.
And police are still investigating a motive for the shootings. So how does a community begin to cope with a tragedy like what happened over the weekend? We spoke with a psychology professor at Prince George's Community College about the healing process.
If you never visit Columbia Mall, you probably don't feel quite as threatened as maybe if you've been there, because you say that could have been me. I could have been there, and particularly as it's beginning to seem like it was not a directed shooting per se, that it was sort of random. I know that's not absolutely determined yet, but some of the latest things that I have seen from the Howard County Police Department seem to indicate that they don't think it was some kind of romantic or domestic dispute or anything of that sort. And I think that can make it a little more difficult when you feel more vulnerable, because if it's just a random sort of thing, then you really can feel more vulnerable.
And Howard County Executive Ken Allman and Governor Martin O'Malley were among the public officials who visited Columbia Mall today to pay their respects to the victims.